these are a lot of military members who have moved all over the world. And these are guys that have had their choice, right? And oftentimes their kids no longer live here. They have grandkids in other states. So I simply say, like, why? Why Hardin County of all places? And they say, there's something different about this town. Like, people, we are such a mixing pot due to
it really is.
the different commercial
Cultures
businesses that we have. And so they bring
100%.
in different cultures, and then we have the military. And so we're such a mixing pot, and it's so beautiful. Like, I love that about this community. Hey guys, it's Rachel Brantingham
and Grafton Sizemore, along with
Brittany Jackson.
And we are here with you guys tonight. It is Hometown Hustle, where every story hits close to home. So
that's right.
I am super excited. This is our first of
hopefully a lot of episodes, right?
Millions
right?
of episodes.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. So it's finally here.
I know.
It's been what now? 8 months?
Yeah, we've been. So I remember the first initial meeting where we talked about our why, what we wanted to do, how we wanted it to look, and then, of course, what happened between that initial meeting and then all of the things that had to be accomplished to get to here. Like, this is quite an accomplishment.
I think we thought we were going to shoot this first episode, like a month after we first had our discussion.
1,000,000%. Everything can be done tomorrow. That is my motto.
And life happens, right? We get to that point. We start talking about, what do we want to do? What is Hometown Hustle? How do we come up with the name, right?
Yeah.
How did we get to all that point? And I think the three of us just kind of sat down and thought, we're hometown people, right?
Yep. We are born and raised.
Right.
This is our home.
This is where we've grown up. It's where we've started to raise families. It's where our friends are. And I think we've beat the notion that a lot of people, I don't know about you all, but when I was in school, it felt like everybody wanted to get out of the hometown.
Yep. Everybody wanted to leave.
Everybody wanted to go somewhere else and go to the big city. And the more I talk to the millennials, the people our age, I start realizing a lot of them are coming back home.
Yes, I am so excited about that.
It is.
I mean, well,
It's
home
exciting.
has definitely transformed over the last 2 decades. I mean, it's almost unrecognizable. I remember living right near where Best Buy is today, and driving in to the Peddler's Mall, which was where Walmart used to be.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, when you're a kid, everything feels so much longer and bigger. But I mean, now the town is literally right on top of my parents' home, who they still live exactly where I grew up. But I mean,
As do mine. Same.
Etown is definitely, Hardin County is definitely not what it once was.
It's not. We're getting to the point now that it's a small town with a big feel.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
It's still got that. Maybe I said that wrong. Maybe I'm saying it's becoming a bigger town with still that small feel. I feel
Correct.
like we're still
Yep.
here.
Yep.
And I still feel like I know everybody when I go to the grocery store,
Yeah.
or I know every store that's still coming up. And we get excited when new things are popping up, right?
Yeah. It's been fun to watch the transformation.
Absolutely. But we're not small anymore.
No, we are not. I went to Malibu Jacks with the kids the other day.
Hey.
Hey, I used to
Wild.
have to drive all the way to Louisville for that. Like, I'm like walking around like, oh yeah, it's in my hometown.
Well, and I'm a golfer, and I used to go out to the golf course, and the golf course, I could just play a round of 18 in 2.5 hours by myself, quicker if I wanted to. And now it's packed. It's a good thing. I mean, trust me, I miss my nobody in front of me, right?
Let's talk
Right?
about traffic. No, I'm kidding. Let's not.
Even on the golf course.
No, but
It's a very debated subject right there.
it's just, I think we all sat down and we started to feel like, hey, this is something that we wanted to do, because all the podcasts that you see now, right? That's the new thing, podcasts.
It is. And like, oh, are we just going to be another podcast? But there
Right.
isn't one about our hometown. There really
No.
isn't.
And there's not really a whole lot out there about small towns. You see
Yeah.
people in the big cities and travel, and it may be
Celebrities.
celebrity was doing, but it's nothing about what it's like to live, grow up, like I said, raise
stay.
families, and just
Yeah.
stay in a small town, but how beneficial that can be. Don't get me wrong, I love to travel.
Me too.
Always love to
Same.
travel.
Same.
But this is home.
Yes. So
Right.
it was obviously easy to pick that hometown word. And then, of course, we're all hustlers.
Just a little bit of hustlers. Just a little bit of hustlers.
I mean, we're all very dedicated to our careers.
We
We
are.
are all grinders, you know.
And the community.
That's the other thing. We have so many special guests lined up to bring on board, and I am probably the most excited about actually sitting down. Like, I hope you guys are excited too, because some of these guys, I just can't wait to get my hands on and actually learn from them, hear what they're doing, hear the emotion and what's happening behind the scenes. And so I'm super excited because we've got some big movers and shakers in Hardin County.
And you don't think about it. You think, oh, everybody thinks Hardin County is this small town. I mean, come on, we have a movie named after this town, for crying out loud, right? Like, I mean, we're big time now.
Orlando.
No, it's
Do
it's
people
right.
know about that too much?
I don't know.
I feel like I have to remind people. We should probably, depending on how big this gets, we should probably tell everybody where we're from.
That's true. I actually was born in Eastern Kentucky, so I've always been a Kentucky kid. But when I was younger, my parents, they split. And, you know, people get to know that about me throughout the podcast. And it was best for everybody, right?
Yep.
And at that time, I came and moved here with my mom. She relocated, taught at West Point Independent School for a little while. And this is where I made my home. Went to New Highland, went to Bluegrass, North Hardin. And this is where I may not have been born, but this is where I was raised.
Awesome.
That's where I've come from. And it's just one of those things that I love this town. And I kid you not, I get made fun of so much by so many people that says, oh my gosh, like Etown, you know, like you got to live here to know it. You
Yes,
got
you
to
do.
be in a small town to understand what it's like to live in one and appreciate it and be a part of something like that.
I agree. I couldn't agree. Brittany, where are you from?
Well, I have been a mix of everywhere. So, like Grafton, my parents were also divorced from when I was a baby. Like, I don't remember them ever being together. I don't know if they were a good fit or not. That was for the best or
Well, I
whatever.
said they were. I was 3, so I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not.
okay. But yeah, so I've actually bounced around a little bit of everywhere. I have family in Brett County, Breckenridge County.
Brett County.
We have some country accents around here, okay?
Right.
So Breckenridge County and then Grayson County and obviously here in Hardin County too. So, I mean, ever since I was, little, I've lived half here and then half either in Brett County or Grayson County.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to hear about your lives now.
Well,
in
hold
just a
on. We got to hear
second.
about you. Yeah.
hold
She was
on.
trying to. Well, no, can't get by that
Well,
one.
Listen, I was born at Hardin Memorial, okay? So this
So the hometown,
is
hometown.
hometown, right? Like I walk in there and I'm like, I'm back, baby, I'm back. No, so my family's from here, born and raised. I was homeschooled, so it's a little weird about me, but come from a big family. They're all here local still. We all still gather at mom and dad's house every Sunday. So my parents have been married for, I'm going to get this wrong, Mom, 52 years, I want to say.
I think it's right. I'm
wow.
going to guess you're right.
Yes.
We're gonna say you're right.
We're gonna
my
say it.
mom's probably doesn't remember anyway. So yeah, so 52 years of marriage. So they've been such a wonderful example to me. Should I just launch right into who I am? So
Go for it.
Do it.
I am Rachel Brantingham. I do all things housing. So I'm in real estate, property management, short-term, long-term. Work for my dad in our construction company. And then I'm a single mama of 2 little boys. So shout out to Maximus and Alexander, who are going to be mortified when they're grown. Then they know that I did this.
Come back and watch this first episode and be like, Mom,
Yeah.
what were you doing?
When
Right.
it failed after episode 3. No.
Well, listen, right now they're 8 and 5, and they think I hung the moon, and so I hope that stays like that forever. But to your point, they don't remember mommy and daddy together either, but I just tell them that we were like magical together, and we made them in love, and so anyway. But
That's all they gotta
their
know.
Their dad is wonderful. I have no complaints. He's been such a great co-parent. So yeah, that's my life as it is today. So
Sweet.
it's crazy. Yeah, I love it that way. So Grafton, you're going to tell us about your life today. Where are you?
Today,
Who are
so
you?
I am obviously a big Kentucky fan. You see it on the chest. As we have a Louisville fan
Okay,
sitting
listen,
next
I
to.
am a
This is gonna
hardcore
be
U
a
of L
thing.
fan. This
I'm
is
out.
going to be a thing.
It's going to be a thing.
I'm out.
I know it is going to be a thing, right?
We're coming back. We are on our way back, okay? I'm willing to
Well, we were
admit.
never down, so I'm kidding. Okay,
Unless it's
already
football.
happening. Oh, okay. Shots fired. I deserve that one. No. So I went to UK. I studied business
thing.
management there. Right. I had to transfer from Louisville just to have. I'm kidding. Well, I did really, but no. I went there and I was like, I'm going to be an accountant, right?
Okay.
That's what I thought I was going to
Yeah.
do. I got into my first accounting class. I was like, I'm not going to be an accountant.
I'm not an accountant.
This is
I'm not an
happening,
accountant.
right?
I changed your mind.
Yeah, not happening. So at that point, I was like, banking. I had a stepdad who was in banking, who was a lender for a long time, right? And so I said, maybe I can get into that. And I remember my dad telling me, he was like, don't do it. And I was like, okay, well, here I am, right? So I'm a lender now. I do mortgages specifically here. I have grown through the banking world and ended up where I'm at now and love it. So kind of how our relationship started, right?
Yeah, that's how I met you.
And same with Brittany. That's how I came to meet Brittany, was in the world of real estate and mortgages and all that good stuff. So that's where I'm at now.
I feel like I should interject because he's too
modest.
I will say that you've never met a kinder soul than Grafton Sizemore.
It's the same for
Absolutely.
you too.
You have been a tremendous blessing to my clients on the real estate side, but also as just my friend. So I'm super excited to be here sitting with you.
And you guys too. And I got to give a shout out. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for, my family, right? And my mom, my dad. Shout out to my two brothers. I've got one who's overseas in Germany right now, right? So he'll be watching this later.
Of brothers.
And
they are going to roll their eyes so big when this comes out.
Trust me. I've heard about it for the last 6 months. I'm telling you, it's going to be great, bro. It's going to be great. I was like, yeah, okay. I just can't wait.
Don't talk us up too much.
I don't want this to go in everybody's got that friend group chat, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to look at it when this first episode comes out. I don't want to know.
Don't worry. I can already see my brothers walking around. I'm Rachel Brantingham. They are so obnoxious, but they are also my biggest supporters. That's
mine too. My brother, I have one who lives here locally, and he's great. He's my biggest supporter, him and his wife.
That's great.
And even though he loves to rag on me, he's always there for me. So wouldn't be where I am today without them. So how about you, Brittany?
Brittany.
Oh, man. So I went to Etown High School here. And I mean, if you go back even more, so my husband and I knew each other from second grade. And then when we were...
I didn't know that.
Yeah, same class. I don't remember it at all.
Sorry, sweetheart.
Sorry, hubby.
Does he remember this?
Well, so he was, we were in kind of the same class, but just when you're younger, a lot of stuff that just is like over your head or like, there's so many other important things. And at second grade, I don't think I was worried about boys that much.
You.
So
good.
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember it that much. So, but then fast forward, like in high school, we both worked at Gaddy's here in Etown together. He was
Gaddy's.
Like this quiet guy that was always like at the front, like cutting pizzas and stuff. And I thought he was kind of cute then, but like I was never an outgoing person. So my grandma was general manager there, and most people thought that I was like stuck up. Because I was actually just so shy. I would just beeline it and like make my way back to the game room. I was like, I feel like I'm just bothering you if I like talk to you. But anyway, so, after a little while we started dating, and long story short, he was in the military. We got married at 20. So, babies. So now I'm 31, which is wild to say.
We're all in our 30s. That seems so old.
Not me. Y'all can admit to that, but
she's what do you want to be? 21, 22?
You're still in your 30s. You're not even that far off, ma'am.
27.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
There you go.
We'll go
I
with
said
that.
all in our 30s. I just I broke the unwritten rule. No ages, right?
Gone it, Grafton. First episode.
You said you were 31 first. Hold on. No, I should.
No. So we've been married for 10 years. First few years of our marriage, we were out in California. He was in the military for the Marine Corps. Hoorah. And
there you go.
And then we moved back to our hometown ultimately, and as we got to know like a little bit about like some of our past and stuff, it was so funny because at one point we lived right behind Central Hardin, and his family has basically lived in the same house, like you all were saying, for several years. And from the last house that I had over in that neighborhood that I lived in, I could see his house. From my house. I was like, this is wild. But yeah, now we've got 3 babies, so which is wild. I just always thought I'd have maybe 2. And you're a girl, so you think I know the exact names that they're going to be. I know kind of what I think they're going to look like. And I've got a middle kid that's a redhead. And it comes from some part of my family. I know there's like a little bit of redhead like scattered throughout. And then you have 3 kids, and you look at yourself in the mirror some days and you're like, I'm a mom.
Oh,
Like, that's crazy. I still see
yes.
myself as the high school kid.
Oh,
you know?
1,000,000%. Or they'll be
like
like
we
yelling, Mom, and I'm like, who are you calling for?
Yeah.
Like
Somebody,
if,
somebody help them.
That's me. Oh, yeah.
now let's say I'm the one here without kids, so I hope after this that I'm gonna learn how to be maybe a good dad one day. You know, I'm gonna hear your all stories and be like, okay, don't do that, but do that. And if you do that, you're in trouble. Like, gotta learn some stuff. I work in an office with 7 women, so
You hear it.
You know.
You also are going to be a natural. You just have that kind of spirit.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah,
But
for
sorry, keep going.
Oh, no, you're fine. That was basically, well, I guess if you got into like the job side of things, when I was out in California, I worked for an eating disorder facility, kind of learned a passion for like helping people in that aspect, and also learning that I had somewhat of a knack to like take a system where I saw that there was gaps of things and change it to make it work. So kind of had to do that there. There was 2 different levels to the eating disorder facility, and we would have to like escort patients and track them on a daily basis. And the person that was in my position before I took over, she would spend like hours after her shift was over and would clock out in still work. And so I was like, that if I'm taking over, like, we can't be doing that, you know? So that was kind of the first realm where I got a vision of that. And then when I moved back to Kentucky and back to our hometown, I worked for another company. It was a third-party risk management company. It's hard to get into like all the details of like what that entails, so I won't bore you with that. But kind of had another feel for that. Then decided in the middle of that and having my first kid that I was going to get my real estate license. So
She crazy.
so I got into that, passed it, and luckily we were at a peak market, so I was getting a good feel for that. And then God blessed me with another relationship that allowed me to move fully into the real estate realm and just dive head in, which I'm not a risk taker in general. So that was a huge leap for me. And then throughout that process, was involved in the community. That's really how I met Grafton. So when we were talking about being humble, that's actually wasn't really about the real estate as much as giving back in the real estate community through the
100%.
board, which is how I met you. And then also met Rachel, actually. Yep. The same committee.
I think that's how we all met each other.
That's actually how we all met.
We were on. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
And that was survive that committee. No, I'm kidding.
Right. But for real. But that was about like helping.
What fun we had. Yeah. It was good. It was good.
We're not on that committee anymore.
Thank God.
But that was about helping like the youth.
Yeah.
And really like newbie agents like come into the realm of real estate. So, and helping camaraderie, which I think is a huge aspect of like hometowns, like, building that up. Yeah. So, us all connecting, and that's how Rachel ended up reaching out to me for me to be a director of operations for her team currently. So,
yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's been great.
It's one of those things that when we kind of got involved with that, it was kind of become like, how do we make things fun? It was part of this YPM program, right? And we were like, how do we make things fun for realtors? And I don't want to get too much. I don't want people to think that this is a real estate podcast, right? Mm-hmm. Because that's not what we're trying to do. It's more about what's it like living in a small town. But that said, that's kind of how this started, which is important because we were giving back to our community in that way. And we were doing what we could to make sure people had fun, to make sure people met one another, because when we do transactions, we're sitting across the table from people all the time, and we were trying to make sure those people met. And I think this is a broader version of that.
Well, 100%. Just a couple years ago, I made myself a massive list of people that in Hardin County that I wanted to request would sit down with me and have lunch. And of course, life happens. I was able to pull off some of those, but those relationships have really transformed my life. And I thought, there's things that they taught me in those lunches that I wanted to put in front of a bigger audience, right? I really think there's so much wisdom. There is just a lot of things that I was able to take away and implement in my own life and then also in my business. So I'm excited to give them a microphone, right? To give them a platform to actually share a little bit more. And I'm just excited to talk about what's happening here. Like, I love following like the community feeds on Facebook. There's so much drama.
They can get fun. I mean, we're talking like
everybody is so divided on every aspect. Like, we aren't even going to cover roundabouts on this podcast because I mean,
so many. We could just get dizzy around town.
I've got to say, I've got to be silent on that because I have a friend and his wife is part of the ones who designed it, whether you love them or not. So I got to stay back.
We got to talk to her.
I got to stay back. I got to stay back. No.
I love them because I'm a super aggressive driver. So I don't like sitting at red lights. I'm like, cut right in front of someone. Like, I am part of the problem.
But I see so many people
almost wreck.
just drive over
Oh,
the middle.
it's
They're like, I'm
hilarious.
just not even going to address
I
that the
posted a
roundabout's
video
there.
the other day, and
If
there
it's
were
late at
track
night,
marks just straight over top. I'm like, this is how well they're working.
I hope the police department doesn't listen to this episode.
Hey,
This is how we drive in our
don't
hometown.
claim that you did it. We just say other people did it.
Yeah,
okay?
we saw
They
this
have
happen.
known
Which
who
is
did
true.
it.
I'm not lying.
But like, you know, to really be able to give them a microphone and let them promote what's happening in our community, and then let our followers be able to get more involved, right? They feel more connected to the people that are the movers and shakers, and they hear what's happening and then how they can get involved. So like, that's a big request that we have. We're going to drop the email in the bottom of this post.
Absolutely.
And if you know of an event that you want to hear more about, if you know of something that you're involved in and you really want to get some promotion around it, this is all
That's what it's for.
We're going to be inviting people on to share.
We're just vibing.
Yeah.
We're just vibing. It's
Yeah.
just vibes, right?
Yeah.
If I could think of what we're doing, we've talked about like, oh, we could do this on an episode, we could do that. I mean, you're going to learn what it's like to be part of a hometown in terms of these are the events that are going on. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about what it's like to date in a hometown.
Oh, boy.
It's going to come up, right?
I
know
asked
it's gonna
Grafton
come
right
up.
up front, I'm like, so what's off limits? And I think we both decided that there is nothing off limits.
It's not off limits, right? What's
So
it like to...
I'll make sure my kids don't watch these.
Well, I don't have any, all right? Being that we're going to talk about dating, I don't have any currently. So it's going to be one of those things that I think we start talking about food in the hometown.
Yeah,
Like, what kind
yeah.
of food do we have here? What new restaurants are coming? What staples have been here forever that we love? You know,
Yep.
we're going to have guests that made it big. Like, they made it big from the small town, right? And what's it like to represent being from here? There's so much to know and be seen. And I don't want people to also think that this is, I mean, yes, it's geared towards our hometown, right? But I don't want to think people it's only for people who live here. There's people in big cities who want to know what it's like to live in the country, right?
Yep, right,
And
yep.
I'm saying as a country, I am not a country boy, so I am not your guy. I am not the farming type,
There's
right?
still some city people in
We
the
will
country.
That's
bring
right,
some
that's right.
farmers on.
So-
I know several.
I am not on Farmers Only. No, it's just
Oh, I am. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We're not going to talk
we're
about
gonna check
what
this
I'm
now.
on.
I have a farmer friend, so we're gonna find out if she's on there. No, but it's kind of finding out some of that kind of stuff for other people who don't know what it's like to be from around here, and it's gonna be getting into some spicy situations, some situations that we talk about our lives that are tough. Like, you know, there's tough parts about living in a small town, right?
Yep,
You know,
yep.
how we get to where we are now. Like, trust me, I by no means started where I'm at. Right?
Absolutely not.
There's a
Yep.
hard road to even
And
get
you
to
know,
this podcast.
oftentimes there's a song, country song about it, but it's hard to be in a small town and try to gain traction. You're judged hardest by the people that know you the most, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
So, you know, there's an aspect of living in a larger town that is, in my opinion, a little bit easier. Nobody knows you. You're just one of the mix. And so growing up here and then going from a kid to suddenly needing to be viewed as a professional, we're going to talk a little bit about those challenges. And I think that as our guests come on, they're going to share, because, I mean, as hard as it is for you and I, where this is a much bigger town than when they were getting their, start. So I'll be interested to see how hard and challenging their story was. And really, what was the catalyst behind those stories, you know? What keeps them going? What gets them up in the morning? Because, I mean, they're not done. All these guys are still, I mean, they're gaining momentum as they grow, right? And not just guys. I keep saying guys, but I'm classifying that as girls and guys.
We
got
it's
some
just
power.
In general,
Yeah.
We got some powerhouse women that I am super excited to have on board. And
This town's filled with them.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there are
Yes.
some amazing women
Well,
that are big time in this
You
town.
walk in a room and you don't know everyone's story. Great example. I met this wonderful lady. She's so sweet. She's a mom. Had no idea that she's developing this whole platform for chefs. And so, like, it's just amazing how when you are able to sit down and start connecting with the people in your community, you're like, it just opens up this massive world where, you know, suddenly you're like, oh my gosh, that's huge. Like, that's amazing. And so I would be jealous of me. I am so excited to sit down with these people.
I think about, I'm a numbers guy, right? Being in finance, I'm a numbers guy. But I think about it a lot is I see the number and I think that it's small.
Yeah.
But in our county, there's 120, 130,000
Yep.
people, right?
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, it's a small town. I know everybody. There ain't no way I know 130,000 people,
Nope.
right?
No.
And no, it's not 2 million, 3 million, whatever the numbers are in places like New York City, Atlanta, things like that. But at the end of the day, there's still a lot of people here, and I meet new people in this town every day
Yep. Same.
that help me succeed. We all three lived, went to high school here, grew up, and didn't meet each other until 2-3 years ago.
Right.
That's true.
Right.
I mean, we knew nothing of each other, and we've all grown up here.
Yeah.
And so it just comes to show that small towns don't necessarily mean, you know, we've got towns in this area that have one stoplight, right? We've got those, right? They exist.
They do.
They exist.
That was the Breckenridge County side of me.
the Breckenridge
One
side
strip,
coming
like
out.
3 restaurants.
Right? And so you've got those things, but then you've also got a bigger feel. And we're starting to see it, and I love it. I love it about our community, but I think it's just coming to show that as a whole, we are small, but we're big. That's what I was saying earlier. We're small, but we're big at the same time. So,
And nonetheless, our stories are big, right? And they deserve to be told.
And you talked about it a little bit earlier, but like, I want y'all to dive a little bit more into what was your why for doing this podcast. We know what some of the things we're going to do, right? The people we're going to have on to talk about things, getting into the, traditions of family, what it's like to live. I consider us the South. Do y'all consider us the South?
I consider it.
I say y'all, and I'm sitting here trying to say I don't.
I mean,
consider us the South.
I was going to
just said
say,
y'all.
you gave it away. Yeah.
Right. Well, I have a little thing with my uncle all the time. He tells me, "Oh, you're not from the South. You're Kentucky, and he's down in Tennessee, things like that." I was like, if we got a team in the SEC, I mean, we're in the South. I just gotta let you know, we might be the north part of the South, but we're there. But
We are.
But
Yeah, I think bunnying off of this, this was a lot of man hours to pull this off, right? A lot of cost involved. And so when we talked about our why, I have a very deep passion for Hardin County. Growing up here, I've moved around, I've traveled a lot, and there's no place like home. And that's so cheesy, but I really love coming back to this community. And I sit down on a daily basis with people that are looking to build or looking to buy. And I usually bring up the conversation of why Hardin County. And these are a lot of military members who have moved all over the world, lived
we haven't
in
even
Germany.
touched on that yet.
Yeah.
The military side of this place.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, these are guys that have had their choice, right? And oftentimes their kids no longer live here. They have grandkids in other states. So I simply say, like, why? Why Hardin County of all places? And they say, there's something different about this town. Like, we are such a mixing pot due to
It really is.
the different commercial
Cultures and stuff.
businesses that we
Well,
have. And so they bring in
100%.
different cultures, and then we have the military. And so we're such a mixing pot, and it's so beautiful. Like, I love that about this community. I think it's transient enough that everyone's so welcoming. And
Absolutely.
there's a lot of us understand that, like, neighbors can be family. And that's a military thing. Like, they learn how to connect and get really deep quick. And I just get really deep because I'm homeschooled and I don't know better. So
She's gonna make us get deep. I can tell.
Uh-huh.
Like, we're gonna get like deep in some of these podcast episodes.
But when I sit down with those people, I hear the passion and love they have for it, and I have that same passion and love. And it's also a passion for the people. Like I said, I want to tell their stories. I want to give them an opportunity, and I want to put a microphone in their hands. I want to applaud them for being brave and championing their passions. And so this is not about me. It's not about Grafton. It's not about our businesses. Hey, it's a chance to sit down, have something to drink, get
Right.
a chance to talk to really great people, and also share those stories with the community that we love.
And we're still figuring this out, right? I mean, I say we've got things planned. I mean, we've got a concept, right? We've got concept. We've got an idea of what we're going to do, but we're going to see where this thing goes and where it flows. Like right now, a couple times, I've heard some music in the background. It's because I forgot to turn it off, and it may be coming through the mics, right? Like we got to figure this thing out, right? Like I was like, oh man,
Y'all bear with us.
I forgot to turn the music off. You're figuring out. Play us one of our sounds. I'm going to put her on blast. Let's see.
No, God! No,
She
God,
just didn't want to be.
no.
Exactly. That's perfect, right? So we're trying to figure out those things to make it fun for you guys.
Yeah.
To make you want to watch and understand that this is for you. Like when we talk about our why is, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm still figuring it out. Like what my why is and what my why is for doing this podcast. I want to get people on here and talk to them, but I want people to hear stories of small town people. And I want everybody to hear about it, to know that we have so many different, I don't want to say cultures, but ways of life just in our country alone.
Yep.
We live one of them, and we're going to show you all what that's like, right?
Yeah.
We're going to show to those people who are like, I wonder what it's like to live in old Kentucky where everybody thinks that nobody wears shoes and, and all this. And I want them to realize is a beautiful state that we live in.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And even a more beautiful community.
It is.
Yep.
It's with beautiful people.
Yes.
And I think sometimes that goes lost in small towns in Kentucky in general, is how great the people are from here, how loving, caring,
genuine.
They'll give you the shirt off your back,
Yep.
right? And don't get me wrong, we have our bad apples too. Every town does,
We got
right?
some people that'll steal them.
That's right. That's right. But my why is to let people realize that while we're all different, we're all really alike. Like, you're going to see me doing loans for somebody during the day, and I'm professional and I'm cool and I'm collected. And I got a crazy side, right?
I don't believe that.
You'll see. I mean, I've got a crazy side. I've got a side where I'm goofy. I'm just, all I've been thinking about the song Drink in My Cup. I've been thinking about that for 30 minutes because we have these cool gold cups feeling like we're on Love is Blind over here, right?
All
right? I'm thinking about these kind of things and I'm like, oh my gosh, why is your head going there? You all don't know that about me yet, but you're going to realize it. Like, I'm going to...
I've seen pieces.
Yeah, well, okay.
So you're talking about that kind of crazy that I can see that.
Okay, there's other crazies too, but I don't know about coming on the podcast.
We're gonna be real. Like, this is gonna be very genuine. There's gonna be times like I want to share my struggles. I want you all to be on the inside of life as a single mother and juggling 4 different companies, and we're gonna allow you in to our lives. It's not all just gonna be about our guests. And there's going to be highs and there's going to be lows, and we are excited to share those with you, and we promise to be vulnerable.
100%. And you see Facebook, I'm going to be the one to say it, Facebook's not always real, right?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
It's
Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat.
Yeah, we're going to find that
yes,
out, right?
I am that perfect.
Yeah. No, it's letting people realize that, you see us out in the community and you think that, we make mistakes too. We
Yep.
failed too,
Yep,
right? We
lots.
failed to get to
Lots.
where we are. I failed, and you don't get to places without having some hard times. And we're going to talk about those. But that's my why, is letting people realize that everybody is different, but in a way we're all the same.
Yep.
Well, and even, I don't know that I have too much of a why per se, because I'll say, Rachel and I, we do a lot of like meetings together on a weekly basis. So there's things that we learn about ourselves we've talked about her being like a visionary role and I'm more of like an integrator role. So we think of those pieces. So, she'll come up with like ideas, and depending on what it is and depending on how we see what the future of that looks like, we'll kind of figure out if that's something that we want to go with. Also knowing, who we're partnering up with. And honestly, the idea initiated from Grafton. So thank you so much, for thinking of us.
It was a fun idea.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, who are some people that, and I don't want anybody to take this the wrong way, right? Because it could be us 3, or it could be 3 people that are not us.
Right.
And this could be a great podcast and a great idea for a podcast. But I know how passionate you all are about our hometown. And that's why you guys came to mind. And honestly, Brittany, I know how technically savvy you are, because the things that you're doing over there, I have no clue what is happening.
None.
They ask me at work, like, hey, can you fix this PDF? And I want to say, I'm the money, I'm supposed to know. And I'm like, I don't know. I got to Google this.
That these two were like,
ask me.
so much
I might know.
These two said, we're going to meet at 7. Rachel, come at 7:30. I wanted to be slightly insulted, but I was like, you know what? That gets me out of all of that work. I'm not even insulted.
Let's rewind this. Meant no insult by that. Honestly, this girl and her world, I see it on a daily basis. We share the same office, and she is just moving from one thing to the next. And earlier today, she was like, we were sitting at the office. She's like, I am so excited to go home and relax and just chill with the kids
tonight.
And I was like, ma'am, we have a podcast. And it was so funny though, because she knew about it. Like, we talked about it, but it's like in the chaos of like the day, and her being on back-to-back calls, it's like the thought wasn't there at the moment. But she, like, it's in the back of your head. It's not that you didn't care or think about it. Like, I genuinely know that. But with that being said, I'm like, as much time that I can give you back, like, even if it's 30 minutes, that I'm going to make sure that I protect that.
Dude, I vegged on the couch. I got Zan, and we turned on his favorite Christmas movie that Christmas, and we were completely vegging, and at some point I'm like, okay, I really got to go fix my makeup. I was like, I can't look
I'm going to call her out. I saw Brittany in the car fixing her makeup when we walked in here. Look at it.
Listen, I don't even put much on, but I was like, I forgot to do all of it this morning because my kid, her school, they like closed earlier than anybody else, than any of the other schools. I don't know what they've done that many times. And I'm like, well, she's just coming to work with me. So we're out of our routine.
But she's
I
a
got
great
a little
work pal. Like,
Is
she
she?
makes me
Yeah.
love notes.
Yeah,
She's
she
so
does.
I call her. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to call you out like that. I'm just laughing because she's talking about makeup, and I walk in and I just see Brittany going like this with her makeup. I'm like, am I supposed to be doing makeup? like I got, I'm like, oh man.
Next
Like,
episode, we're bringing some makeup.
I was
We're
like,
gonna
hair and makeup. Let's go. Let's go.
Once we
Like,
see what it all looks like, we might be prepping you up next time too. So, but I will say, so we were talking about like, you know, the why of it all. And we've mostly talked about the fact that it's a hometown. But I know that when we talked about it all together, we kind of had a bigger vision of that. Like, it wasn't just hometown per se. Like, that's the core of like who we are. And, you know, obviously we're shooting it from our hometown. And this is for each of us, our hometown. And obviously we got the hustle in the name too. But at the same time, you know, if you want to talk about like your vision behind the bigger aspect of it, because we're going to be bringing on these people, but it's bringing on their story and talking about their stories that can be applied across the board and across the planet, really. Like,
right.
Yeah. Yeah. Like going back to giving them a platform to be able to share those, you know, because I do think they're applicable anywhere, right? It's just because we're in Etown, Kentucky, you know, and we are very passionate about Etown and we want to share about the lifestyle here. We want to share about the culture, all of that. I do agree with you because as a business owner and also as someone who strives to be my very best in every aspect of my life, sitting with them and hearing how they juggle work and responsibility and family and God, like it's not something that is just specific to Etown or Hardin County. So
100.
I do agree with you. It's deeper than just our community. We really do want to have an impact bigger than that.
Well, and I want to put this place on the map. Not that it's not already there, but it's like I go to a work conference or I go travel or something. They're like, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Elizabethtown. And they're like, where's Elizabethtown? And then
It's
I
sandwiched
have to go,
between
yeah, it's this
Louisville
between
and
this-
Nashville
Yeah, we're like
and
45
Lexington.
miles. Or I live at the Gold Vault. Like, you know. You're like,
or you have
heard
to
of the
go
Gold
through
Vault,
like
right?
that struggle of like, we're like 40 minutes south of Louisville, and then they still don't know. And you're like, okay, let me take the garbage out of my mouth and say Louisville. And
yeah.
then you know.
Oh,
the
Louisville.
garbage out
Okay,
of my
okay.
mouth.
Right.
Louisville.
I want people to know this in this community, what we're doing, where we're going, and we're going to talk about other things too. I think all of us talk about how much we love to travel, right?
Yes.
So we're going to give our experiences of, hey, just because a small town is your home base doesn't mean you don't get to go see the world.
Yep.
Right.
No, absolutely. In fact, I think that is one thing that a lot of the military family members, when we're talking about why Hardin County, they always say one of the best things is that this Kentucky, Hardin County is so central.
Absolutely.
It's easy access to everywhere. And couldn't agree more. I mean, we're 2 hours away from a major airport. We're, Chicago's 4 hours away.
Yeah.
I mean, it is so easy to get places and go places. Speaking of, there's a guest I want to bring on, and she is magic when it comes to travel points. And so I have been learning from her.
I'm going to go ahead and say I need to learn because I got that little brother over in Germany that I'm
yeah.
going to see this upcoming September. And I am right now trying to figure out this travel points and how to make it work for the best flights and how to do this and how to make those credit cards work.
She
and,
knows who she is, and she doesn't know that I'm going to ask her to come on yet. But
oh, you're coming on because I need to know
she
these. I need to know these
will.
hacks, right?
She's
right?
so brilliant. Watching her work, she has spreadsheets and spreadsheets. Like, she has figured out the algorithm. She knows what she's talking about. So, of course, you know, some of the other guests that we have lined up, you know, we've got some powerhouses in, you know, industries. We've also got some coming on just to specifically talk about events for next year. There's some really badass events coming
There's
next
some
in 2025.
really, really awesome events.
I mean,
coming
some
up.
that you see in big cities only. So, I mean,
Absolutely.
and then, of course, with just the growth, I mean, every single day there's another business coming to Hardin County. So, as we dig in and get some of that information, we're going to try to vet all of the information before we share it because we obviously don't want to give out anything that's incorrect. But our goal is that you can either, maybe you won't hear it first from us, but you'll hear it confirmed from us.
And you may hear more detail from us, right?
Yes.
A podcast, it's hard to be breaking news, right? Because I think our idea is, and this is fluid too, we're trying to figure this out, but maybe do maybe episode every 2 weeks, put something out and kind of update with what's going on in our lives, what's going on in the community, what's going on in small towns across the country. Like, we're going to talk some about that. But then on top of that, I think that it's figuring out that while we're doing all those things, like, what else can this be about?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and that's why we want your involvement. So, like I said, check that email below. Or call me. I'll put my number down there too. But if you have
She's
an
a
event,
realtor. It's everywhere.
It's plastered all over town, right? Like it's there, right?
Yeah, lots of people call me. But if you have something that's coming up in 2025 and you're like, gosh, I'd love to push this or promote this, or, if you've got an idea or somebody you would love to see interviewed, a business professional that you want in the hot seat, we would love to get a tidbit on that and to kind of be made aware of it. And so check that email address below. We are just so excited. To all of our friends and family who are probably the only people that are going to watch this first episode.
Yep.
We love you. Thank you.
Don't make too much fun of us, please.
Thank you for letting us be here tonight and watching all the animals and the babies and all the things.
That's right. I've got my dog, got the brother watching him. We couldn't do it without him, right? But I'm excited for this. I'm excited for where this thing is going to go.
As I told you guys earlier, as I was driving here, I really saw the 100th podcast, and I really, truly believe that we are going to do that. And it's going to get better and better, so stick with us. The first is always a little, you got to get that. Listen, this is a soft launch.
This is a soft launch. We'll see how this goes. We're still trying to figure out how this is going to look once it's produced. We don't know that, right?
Yeah.
These camera angles, it may not even be recording right now. I don't know.
We're going to find out.
From what I can see, we're good.
We're going to find those things out. We're going to work through the kinks.
Yeah.
We want you to work through them with us.
Yep.
And as we figure out what this is, what it's going to be, we want you all to be a part of it.
Yeah, we're excited.
So.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. Thanks for spending the last 45 minutes listening to us gab. And we'll be back with our second episode here in just a couple weeks.
That's right. We'll see you then.
Signing off, episode 1.